We are just 4 weeks away from the biggest weekend in the Wrestling Canada, and for NXT on WrestleMania weekend, that is none other than Stand and Deliver. Today I'm going to go through how I would book Stand and Deliver. That goes through the match card, some of the storylines as well. So without further ado, let's not waste any time. You've seen it on the thumbnail. It is the most obvious and most likely match we're going to see for the NXT Championship. Bron Breakker defending against CARMELO Hayes, who is the face of NXT, who truly is the A champion. You could even ask the question, who is him? Because, well, Bron Breakker has been arguably the face of NXT, of course, been the NXT champion for the best part of over the last 12 months or so. CARMELO Hayes, though, he's claimed himself to be the A champion, being the North American champion for near enough 12 months up until Halloween Havoc last year. Since then, he's built himself up to become the #1 contender in NXT to go for Bron Breakker. It's a match, to my knowledge, we have not seen before, and I think for me it is the biggest match NXT can showcase for us on WrestleMania weekend, and for me will be the perfect opportunity to just showcase the two top guys head to head. Who is the best, who is #1, and if I had to say right now, I think CARMELO Hayes is the guy to dethrone Bron Breakker. He could carry the NXT brand going forward, and that can release Bron Breakker to go up to Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania. Next will be the NXT Women's Championship match. I've gone for Roxanne Perez to defeat Meiko Satomura this upcoming week on a roadblock, and well, Tiffany Stratton has already called her shot, so it would be silly to pick anybody else in this spot at this particular time. For me, looking at this, Tiffany is the person that's been arguably handed everything. She's had it what's supposedly meant to be easier in life. Roxanne Perez has had to scratch and claw and fight for every opportunity she's ever got in the wrestling industry, and she's earned that way to become the NXT Women's Champion. It's a very simple story to tell, but I think it's one that would work really well with these two performers, and what I like about it, two young upstarts, two women with a very bright future in WWE, given the biggest platform possible, WrestleMania weekend, NXT Stand and Deliver, to showcase their talents, and who knows, they could be repeating this a couple of years down the line at a WrestleMania for a Women's Championship. I wouldn't be surprised. Next, let's talk about the North American Championship, shall we? Wesley, I've gone for a ladder match because, well, Wesley, for me, won the championship in a ladder match. He seems to be doing the open challenge week upon week at the moment, and for me, that kind of just seems he's welcome on all challenges, and for the way that he won the championship, I think at the biggest showcase of the year, he would like to defend it in the same manner. And I've gone with, well, 6 opponents, because Money in the Bank these days has 7 guys in there, so I've gone for 6 challengers to go against Wesley. I think it'd be a perfect way to open the show, by the way. You've got high flyers such as Axiom that could be involved in this match. I've gone for Tyler Bate as well, who's quite versatile with his in-ring style to a lot of different performers. I think he would be great in a ladder match. You've got 2 feuds as well that can be continued in this match if need be. Dijak and Tony D'Angelo being 2 that have been after the North American Championship, and of course Apollo Crews and Dabba Kato. Of course, Kato wanted to accept a North American Championship challenge, an open challenge, just this past week when Nathan Frazier returned, but he was stopped by Apollo Crews, so that way you can enter them 2 into the ladder match. It's quite simple, a lot of qualifying matches if you want to do it that way as well, and for me, these guys will just tear it loose. WrestleMania weekend needs a ladder match, and for me, this could be the perfect place to do it. Let's follow up with a couple of grudge matches, shall we? Starting with Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. Let's go last woman standing, because that's what they both claim to be, what they will be now Toxic Attraction is no more. Of course, Mandy Rose no longer in WWE. They've got their first match set for Roadblock. I am expecting a screwy finish. I don't think it will finish there regardless of what happens. I think it goes on to Stand and Deliver. These two ladies have been fantastic in the Toxic Attraction team. It's time for a true breakout moment, and the fact they've had the rocker style breakup, now the most closest thing we've had to a barbershop breakup with Michaels and Genetti back in '92. These two ladies, of course, did it on the Ding Dong Hello show with Bailey, and at the conclusion of NXT as well. They've done some fantastic work since, and I think they deserve this Stand and Deliver position. Last woman standing for me just feels like the perfect stipulation to do as well. We can have an inclusive victor and someone that can go perhaps towards a championship opportunity going after WrestleMania season. Following that, let's talk about Ilya Dragunov and JD McDonough, a feud that has gone all the way through NXT and has continued into NXT. JD McDonough is a bit of a creepy one, isn't he? He put Ilya Dragunov out. Now he seems to have picked up some sort of eye injury of his own, according to what's happened with his exchanges with Dragunov. I think we should just put this with one final match. And for me, I think the I Quit stipulation works pretty well for Ilya Dragunov and JD McDonough, because let's be fair, both are a little bit twisted. I can't imagine either of them saying I quit, to be honest. Maybe it could even be one of those classic WrestleMania moments like when Steve Austin passed out in the submission match. You could do that sort of idea as well for this one, where perhaps Dragunov picks up the victory. But for me, these two, I think they deserve a big platform to finish this feud off, and I think that to Stand and Deliver could be that perfect place. We've also seen Gallus and Pretty Deadly already starting their rivalry with the NXT Tag Team Championships. Of course, Pretty Deadly trying to play Paul with the Gallus boys, not doing so well at doing that. They have history from NXT UK, and one thing I'm liking is that Pretty Deadly are starting to show more of a vicious side. For me, this is what is sort of missing from their arsenal at the minute. They've got the characters down to an absolute perfective T. If they can get the vicious side out like apparently they showed in NXT UK, I think this team could be ready not just to lead to the division, but could it be ready for a Raw or SmackDown. But at the same time, the Gallus boys on top, I wouldn't be surprised when these two teams face if they didn't come out on top this time around. One more match then for the main show, and I've got a kickoff match for you to finish off as well. I'm going to be doing Grayson Waller against Dragon Lee. Now, Grayson Waller has had issues with Shawn Michaels. He's been confronting him, storming into his office during a press conference, during the NXT tapings as well, in February also. Now it's led to a confrontation at Roadblock in the Grayson Waller Effect show. I don't think HBK is coming out of retirement by any means, but I think Grayson Waller is going to throw, he's going to throw the toys out of the pram. He's going to suggest that he wants perhaps an opportunity to go in with Bron Breakker and Carmelo Hayes for the NXT Championship at Stand and Deliver. Probably be told he's had a couple of opportunities and he blew that opportunity. And perhaps there's going to be the idea that Shawn always plays to his favourites, that Grayson Waller isn't one of those guys, and perhaps superstars seem to come in and he gets overlooked. And I think this is a good excuse then for Shawn Michaels then to say, well, do you know what, I've got someone new coming in, and then we can bring in Dragon Lee to take on Grayson Waller at Stand and Deliver. It's perfect to do it that way. You could even do, if Grayson Waller loses, he has to leave NXT. I think that'd be a great stipulation to throw in there. Dragon Lee then gets a big win, on his belt on the debut match at Stand and Deliver. Some big things from what he's a great talent from what I've seen outside of WWE. I've watched him in Ring of Honor, New Japan, and even in Mexico as well. So I do think that this guy can bring a lot to the table. And Grayson Waller, for me, I think he's got the attributes to be on a Raw or SmackDown already. He would be great as an undercard act right now, sort of building himself up, kind of like that Miz position, and what LA Knight has been doing recently. Grayson Waller certainly has that in his locker and probably would succeed on the main roster if he was to do so. But hey, perhaps he would win at Stand and Deliver, and then that feud could continue onwards. Maybe Grayson Waller proves his point, but I'm sure either way, Dragon Lee, when he does debut on NXT, will be an absolute star. And to finish things off, let's go with a kickoff match. I can't leave off the Women's Tag Team Championships, can I? I'm going with KIANA James and FALLON HENLEY to defend those championships against ISLA Dawn and ALBA FYRE. Two, well, tag teams that wouldn't have got along at one point. Former rivals, one technically still kind of could be. There's a lot of friction in and amongst the champions with FALLON HENLEY and KIANA James, but well, ISLA Dawn and ALBA FYRE, they've gone through their battles. They're now on the same page. They can almost say, well, look, we've come together, show what we can do. You two need to come together and be that strong if you're going to beat us. I don't think they'll be successful though in doing so. I think the friction will continue with James and Henley after WrestleMania, along with Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs. That's an interesting story in and amongst itself. For me, also then you have ISLA Dawn and ALBA FYRE as your new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. They will be a dominant force, I think, in the division, and it could be the perfect team there until you can actually establish and build a proper tag team division in NXT. These two ladies have been doing fantastic work together, and I think they're quite believable actually of being dominant champions for a very long time. So that's how I'd book NXT Stand and Deliver. Let me know what you think of this show. Is this a card you would like to see? And what card would you book? Let me know in the comments below right now. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do hit the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe to the channel as well. If you're interested in my Roadblock predictions, that video is on the channel for you right now. There'll be more NXT content coming out as we get close to WrestleMania, along with WWE, AEW, and much, much more. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching. Enjoy yourselves. See the videos on the side of the screen right now, and I'll see you for the next video.